My name is Jason and I'm the teacher at English Online Australia. This lesson is based on the IELTS writing criteria. You need to address this writing criteria in your writing, and this lesson will show you how to do that. So enjoy the lesson.
In this lesson, we're going to look at a task 2, giving an opinion essay. We're going to look at using a thesis-led approach. We're going to look at an example essay and go through it and see what makes it good based on the IELTS writing criteria. So let's look at this example. Cars cause pollution and other health problems in our cities. Some city centres have car-free areas, or drivers have to pay a toll to enter the city. Do you agree or disagree? This is a typical task 2. So let's look at how we could organise our paragraphs. And remember, here we're going to use a thesis-led approach. So in the first paragraph, we should introduce the topic and clearly state the opinion. So that's our thesis. We're going to clearly state the opinion in the introduction. Then in the following paragraphs, we're going to justify the opinion. And I've decided that we're going to do firstly justify the opinion by discussing a toll. Then in the next paragraph, we're going to do the same, but by discussing the car-free zones. And finally, we'll have an appropriate conclusion. Also, remember that this paragraph organisation is for a thesis-led approach, and it's appropriate to answer questions like these. To what extent do you agree, disagree, or do you agree or disagree? Remember, to discuss both sides and give your own opinion, the best approach for that is an argument-led approach, and we'll look at that in Lesson 8. Now, let's look at some ideas for introducing a toll and car-free areas. Later, we'll try and put these ideas into complex sentences and a coherent paragraph. Here are just a few main ideas for introducing a toll, and likewise, here are just a few ideas for introducing a car-free area. So we just want a few ideas because we really want to fully develop these ideas rather than having a lot to talk about in our essay. So now let's look back at the essay and the task, and we want to have an appropriate introduction. So here's an example of a bad introduction. Now, why is this introduction bad? Let's have a closer look at it. On the surface, this introduction seems quite good, but in fact, it's bad. So to begin with, it has a pretty clear introduction of the topic. In many countries across the world, air pollution is becoming a major concern. Accordingly, cars have been banned in some urban areas. Pretty good, and pretty good grammar too, have been banned. However, if we look at the next section, here it is made up of only generic statements and generic phrases. By generic, I mean that they could be used to talk about any topic, not the particular topic we need to talk about. And they also have no meaning, really. It's just generic. It has no meaning particular to the topic we need to do. Also, it discusses advantages and disadvantages. However, what we really need to do in our task is we need to say whether we agree or disagree that using a toll or car-free areas is a good idea. So again, having a look at the task, that introduction doesn't really talk about the topic we need to, and it just uses generic sentences. So now, if we look at this good example, it's much better. It addresses and introduces our particular topic. As you can see, it clearly states, to achieve this end, tolls and car-free zones have been introduced in some major city centres, and that's the topic that needs to be addressed, not the advantages and disadvantages, which is stated in the bad example below. Furthermore, it clearly states the opinion or the thesis in the introduction. I believe this is a positive step forward in alleviating this ever-increasing problem. Next, in the second paragraph, we want to justify the opinion by discussing a toll. Now, looking back at the ideas we thought about before for a toll, we can put those into a paragraph. And here's our example. We have a clear opening statement To begin with, the introduction of a toll to enter city centres is a positive approach by the government to reduce pollution. Then we go on to develop this idea with a contrast using while, and then we give some examples and further develop the idea, here using a conditional. By paying a toll, it will. And then we have a concluding statement. Therefore, this kind of approach can help make the city a better place to live and work by decreasing the overall number of cars within the city centre. We've also used good linking words, and here are some examples, and we've used some good vocabulary appropriate for the task, and here are some examples. So by doing this and using that language, we have a well-constructed paragraph which is well linked together and has good vocabulary. We're going to do the same thing in the third paragraph by discussing car-free zones. So we're going to take the ideas from before, and here they are, and put them into a paragraph. Remember, we agree that we think these are good ideas, so we're just further justifying the opinion stated in the introduction. So here, another positive approach I agree with is having car-free zones or pedestrian-only areas. We further develop that idea and give more supporting sentences. We've used complex sentences, modal verbs, conditionals, and not only but also, as you can see here in the concluding sentence. Again, we've used a good range of linking words to connect our ideas. Finally, in paragraph 4, we want to sum up the thesis, and we want to refer back to the arguments we've already made in paragraphs 1 and 2. We don't want to present any new ideas. So in the good conclusion, we do that. To conclude, as has been shown, so again, referring back, and it is clear that through the implementation of these measures, so these measures are the ones specifically talked about. Whereas if we compare it to the bad conclusion, it does that. It introduces these new ideas. Public transport should be made to high standards, or there has to be an increase in environmentally friendly vehicles. There are new things not talked about in paragraph 2 or paragraph 3. In the conclusion, you want to avoid new ideas. You just want to clearly sum up what has been stated in your essay. Finally, things to remember for task 2, using a thesis-led approach, try to make a plan using this approach. Organize your ideas into logical paragraphs so that you have a clear structure to your essay. Also, use a range of ways to express giving an opinion, and here are some. More can be found on the website. Use a range of logical linking devices or words, and here are examples. These are just a few examples. There are many more. So following these ideas should improve your writing. To download a copy of this writing or the podcast, visit English Online Australia.
So I hope you find the lesson useful. For direct teacher contact and support to give you the personalised feedback you need to improve your IELTS score, enrol in a course at English Online Australia today.